Welcome to a new episode of The Golf. We got a whole load of goodies for the engine. So, I forgot to film an intro clip, so let's cut to me in the past tearing the valves down. What do you know? We're in the future. Would you look at that? There she is, nice and clean. Engine degreased with the power washer. The cam looks pretty good too. It's it's got some wear on it. It has 160,000 miles on it, but it's pretty even and it looks like a pretty dang good cam.
Here we are. I did a little scraping, which we'll have to put something on this and get all this clean best we can. Put a new gasket, but it looks all right. It's gonna clean it up fairly well. Now we have this spring compressor. So what you do, this seat right here is going to sit on the valve down here. First thing you do is you remove the tappet and you put them in order over here. So we know this was all from this first valve that I took out, which was the exhaust, which is bent. If you look over there, you can see how bent the one in on the left is. So you close this down on here and you turn this handle, and as you turn the handle, it compresses the spring, as you can see up here. So the center is the valve, and there's little retainers that slide in on an angle, which are actually just sitting over there. There's little, so you have, this is your valve, there's your retainers, that's your seal, and this is the top. You turn this, and if you watch it right there, it's compressing the spring in. So then you have a little window. You can see how much it compressed. Inside right there, you can see how much it compressed, and those are those retainers. See how they're sitting there? So you reach in there, and you drop both of them down, so you can't get them now. Okay. There's one. So I put that over here. Keep it with that. This one's being difficult. Here we go. Yeah, maybe not. Okay. Now, once you get it loose, you release that. Now we have the top and the spring comes out. I'll organize those a little better in a minute, and then just push the valve down through the seal. There's the valve. Yeah, these are the new guides we bought, but these guides seem to be fine. Nothing's bent. So if we don't have a bent guide, we won't put them in. We already hand lapped. It's a hand lapping tool, brand new valve. You want to seat them to this old seat. So what you do is everything's been cleaned already, so you put a little bit of this on there. Don't need too much. They don't seem to stick very well. You'll hear the tone change, and as you're doing it, the grit, it's a 3-stage grit. So it starts out coarse, and then it gets finer and finer and finer. So if you add a little water to it, it'll thin out and become super fine grit. But we're just resurfacing, cleaning them up. And it should seal real nice now. Like you said, these aren't great. You know, obviously this isn't sitting very good. So what I do is you want to apply a little bit of pressure and put your hands like this. I'm sure there's some pizza method I could think of, but
I can't, so you know what? Scratch that. Till it's smooth. You can hear when it's smooth.
Here's where we're at. I put 2 in already. Now I'm soaking these in oil because they need to have oil in them. There's a little pump in it. So when you push, there's a little seal here. You push here and the oil comes out the hole. I don't know if you can see that. So I want to make sure that they get soaked. So there's as much oil in there as we could possibly get. So we popped the seal already on this one, the third one. The seal installer for. I'll show you on the next one. Now I got to get the valve. So that is, so what I've been doing, to quote a brilliant person, I'm using Fogger oil for men, and I'm coating this so it slides through the seal better. You push it up and you turn it and it clicks. Compress the spring. Then this is the most difficult. Trying to get the keepers in, which I'm missing one. So the wider part goes on the top. So it goes wider to narrower. So the narrow part goes on the bottom, wider part goes on the top. And you kind of drop it in there best you can. They make tools for this.
Those cost money.
No, everything's free these days. But you don't really need them. If you can place that in there, can you see it with the camera?
Mm-hmm.
For the most part, if you have a little oil on it. Okay, after a couple agonizing minutes of placing those keepers in there to go, what they do is, I'll show you right here, is exactly what we're doing. We're putting them on like that, and one on this side. And that right there is what you're seeing right there with the spring in here. So you got to kind of get these in place from outside. Not the easiest thing. But put that right in there. This is the one out of the other one. Nothing like 0-20.
Yeah, that's water basically.
Engine blood. Alright, so got some brake cleaner and a nice shop towel, and I'm wiping down the surface here. Took a little bit of dirt off. Try to get everything out of there. Smells like brake cleaner now. Alright, so now that surface clean. At one point, I was doing this wearing those surgical glove things, try to keep your hands clean, and brake cleaner eats right through those plastic gloves.
So I'm sure that's great for your skin.
Yeah, so I'm sure that once I get this done, I'm gonna go wash my hands. We're doing some other things on the motor. We have the head bolted down. We got the water outlet pipe reconnected. Gotta clean all this up. We had to change a water pump. We broke the camshaft sensor, so we're waiting for a new one to come in. So I wanted to show the water pump coming off. This is a new one with metal. I'm curious about what's inside there. But if you look on this, I don't know if you can see it. It'll sit exactly like that. You have 1, 2, 3. There's our gear. I have one left to take off, which I almost have out. Now it's out. Broken impeller. Good thing we're changing it.
Where's the rest of the impeller?
Stuck in there. We read they break.
Like
So,
that.
it's the plastic. So now we have a nice new metal one going in. A 1/4 inch drive.
Now, it doesn't mean that's what you need
Torque
at wide
wrench.
open throttle. On
Order from Harbor
100%
Freight.
gasoline, you'd want somewhere in the 11.
To this day, I've never used it. First time.
So you want to have it be richer than.
So if you watch this, see how it's
most power. Now there's a lot of
it's catching,
here
and look,
because
it
most of our
strips.
fuel now is E10, so it has 10%.
The
ethanol.
gears are
These
stripped,
gauges are
brand
now
new,
rated
right out of the
Trans-Am
box. It
Lambda.
was
Lambda,
horrible.
Lambda. All right, let's see what we got here.
Like rusty, like brown, like. So what I want to do is, being antifreeze ran down on the crank pulley for the timing belt, we don't want to have antifreeze on the timing belt because it could damage the timing belt. So I'm gonna have to rinse all that out before this goes together. Rinse it, dry it, clean it real well. Then we can put our cam gear back on, hook our belt up, put our tensioner on, and then we could check this thing for compression to see if all this was worth it. This is the pump that came out, and you know, this was the gear.
You see on the video,
And that's what, this wasn't even there, it was laying inside the head.
you see on the video how many pieces there were.
Yeah, this came out, the rest of it's laying in the antifreeze bin. But you can hear that. It's definitely a bad pump. I'm starting to think that this jammed, locked up the belt, and ripped all the teeth off it. Cylinder 4.
200.
Cylinder 3. Cylinder 1. Ready? Okay, so there's 2 bolts. One here, one lower. This swings right out of the way. So you don't even have to unbolt unwire anything. And then there's a bolt up on top of the thermostat and one on the bottom. Pop it off.
So the fuel pump fuse is still disconnected. We're just gonna make sure that this motor doesn't seize it. Good.
That's the air pump making that noise. Let me just check and make sure I got nothing leaking.
I'm gonna put the fuse in. If me in editing realizes this was the 5-minute mark before it blows up, best of luck. So we have a hell of an exhaust leak, and there's definitely at least a transmission mount that's bad. But on a great note, the car runs, which is excellent news. So I'm going to end the episode here. I like, favorite, subscribe, and that's some great news. It didn't blow up.